This is the video of our bedroom. See, there's a missing shingle up there. And then it transitions. You can see a little defect running up there. And this is an addition I put on 35 years ago. The roof has never been changed. Same is true of this bedroom addition. Then the house proper is on the other side of the chimney. This is the roof over the machine shop. You can see a defect there. I think the plywood sheeting is turning up its edges. The machine shop's not fastened to the house. 5-foot walkway. And then there's a 6-inch square fiberglass tube that connects the house to the garage. Carries cable, water, electricity, and Ethernet. Behind the machine shop, that's the low portion here, is a 2-story addition that I put on in 2002, 2003. So this roof isn't quite as old as the rest. This is an amateur radio antenna. And this is the back door to the gun shop, which is on the 2nd floor. You can just make out the door to the electronics area. I'm standing on a deck between the house and the shop. This is a Google Earth view. Earlier I was standing on this deck right here. Here's the gun shop, the machine shop, the house, an office, and a little roof here covering a walkway. This is the roof overhang to the porch of the gun shop. Looks like the first thing they're going to do is trim all the overhang off of the roof. At the same time he's taking the flashing piece around the chimney down. There's only 2 people on this crew. These snow stops are called birds here in Pennsylvania. I'm really not sure why. The alternating pattern was picked by Sandra, my wife. So the lower piece of siding is removed. And the starter strip's coming off. After the roof material is cut, it's torn off and exposed the existing drip edge, which is going to have to be removed. Now the old drip edge and the plywood above it's been removed so that the roof overhang is just flush with the existing fascia. Now the horizontal strips are laid, one at the top and nailed. And one at the bottom, even with the fascia. Now they'll be installed the whole way up the roof at probably 2-foot centers. A piece of metal flashing is going to be positioned temporarily. The existing white starter channel is reinstalled. And both the metal and the white starter strip are secured with screws. Now the metal is laying on top of approximately 3/4 inch boards. So they're going to reinstall the piece of siding that was removed, but they're going to have to cut, the mechanic's going to have to cut about 3/4 of an inch off of that piece of siding and then reinstall it. Now the mechanic is only fastening the vertical leg of the colored flashing. The mechanic measures both ends, and now he's going to trim the old piece of vinyl siding. Now he took the scrap that he cut off the original vinyl siding and dropped it into the starter strip in order to make the old vinyl fit tighter in the strip. Now he's just going to snap the old vinyl upper and lower pieces together. Now with the flashing installed and the vinyl reinstalled, they're ready to put the first piece of roofing material, and they'll slide it underneath the metal flashing. You can see how the metal flashing is turned down a little bit towards the right hand side. When they put the roofing material in, they'll slide it in under that, and it'll direct the water on top of the metal roofing material. So we have a new drip edge or flashing installed in place of the one that was torn off. It's just an angled piece of roofing material. It laps over on the ends. And he'll make sure that it overlaps the existing fascia. At this end, the first piece of roofing material will slide underneath the edge flashing and the flashing against the wall. See how the drip edge of the siding extends down into the side flashing. Here comes another panel. So this is the last of the full width panels. Two guys working together with this whole roof, the flat panels, the uncut panels, in less than 10 minutes. That includes carrying them up the ladder. You might be able to hear the sound of the saw cutting the filler panel. Now, about a quarter of the screws were installed on all the panels. So after the final panel is in position, they'll go back and fill in all the gaps in the screw pattern. So now all they're going to do is go back and fill in all the screws. The cap has a rubber foam, I don't know if you call it a gasket or not, about 1 or 1 1/4 inches wide, running lengthwise on the bottom of the cap. See how it's sort of stuck up in the air there? Now when you screw it down, it'll flatten that gasket out. But in between ribs, the gasket's just compressed a little bit. So one of the two members of the crew screws the cap down. The other member's digging out some snow stops. Now the snow stops have a rubber gasket on the bottom and two pre-drilled holes that'll run along the length of the ribs. The two screws will be parallel with the ribs. And the reason for the rubber gasket on the bottom of the snow stop is so that all the penetrations are sealed. If you just screw that on without you can see the dual screws. So I think once the snow stops are in and the final little piece of cap is put on and secured, we'll be done with the whole house. So anybody that lives in Blair County, and maybe adjacent counties, this residential construction services furnished all the materials and labor to install the roof. Now, I have no connection with them. They actually were recommended by a drinking buddy of mine. There, you can pause the camera if you want to know about phone numbers or the address. This is the color chart that my wife and I were given. And you can see who furnished the metal. Blair County Metals. And they are located at 2944 Cove Mountain Road in Martinsburg. And this color chart says Sherwin-Williams. The warranty from Residential Construction Services says Valspar. This is the salesman or perhaps the owner of Residential Construction, Steve Pheasant.